I actually learned English in Japan as well while I was learning.
Really?
Yeah. Because
so when you came here, you only spoke French?
I wouldn't even say, like, I have, my friends will testify to this. You couldn't get me to say my name is.
She is a program coordinator of a non-profit right here in Tokyo, Japan. We are going to unpack her story. Why did she come to Japan? What has her experience been like so far? We're going to give you guys all the details coming up right after this. Welcome to the Melanated Files. In this series, we highlight and share the stories of Black people from across the globe. Remember to subscribe to this channel for weekly videos and also follow us on social media for regular updates. Let's get into the interview.
My name is Ouli. It's short for Oulimata. Yes, and I'm from Senegal in West Africa. I've been in Japan now for almost 10 years, so 9 years and 6 months now.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I came here as a student initially, so I had a scholarship from the Japanese government, and I've been here ever since. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So why Japan? Like, did you have this love for it before you came?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Growing up, I wasn't, I knew Dragon Ball Z, but that was about it. I wasn't into animes, I wasn't into mangas, nothing. I literally knew nothing about Japan up until the point I got here.
Wow.
So it was totally a random decision, basically all based on just academic goals. So I had a scholarship and I wanted to study engineering at the time. I was like, oh, what better place than Japan, because Toyota and all these mechanical, all these automobile industry companies. So that was the only and unique reason why I even considered coming to Japan at all. Yeah.
Did you have like other options, other countries you considered?
Yeah, because before coming to Japan, I actually lived in France for 6 months because that's what a lot of Senegalese students do. So after high school, we take something called the baccalaureate, and that's our entrance university exam. And if you rank well, you get a scholarship from the Senegalese government to study in France. I had that. That was my plan. That was totally how I mapped out my life. So I went in France 6 months, and I was about to change my major for what I was studying in France when I got the call that said, "Oh, you have a scholarship for Japan." I was like, "Okay, sure."
Wait, so you were in France?
Yes, I was in France when it was February. I got the scholarship call, and then I went home for a month, and then I came to Japan in April because that's when school starts in Japan.
What year was this?
This was 2010.
Okay, so what was your major? So you came to study, was it engineering still?
Yes, it was engineering. So in France, I did mechanical and physics and mathematics for a little bit, and then I came for mechanical engineering in Japan. That was my scholarship,
So I know that you work for a non-profit. So tell me about the transition from engineering to being a program coordinator for a non-profit.
I don't think we have enough time for this. So I only chose to do mechanical engineering because I had good grades in math and physics. That was the thought process. There was no this is my life goals, this is my career ambition, nothing like that. And it looked really good on paper, of course, like a young woman, engineer, African, and all of that. So I was really excited. I came to Japan. I did my first year in all Japanese only. We studied Japanese for a year, which was very, very good. And then I went to my school. The second year in doing mechanical engineering, what they called mechanical engineering, I was just like, I'm not enjoying this at all. I could tell. It wasn't so much the career, it was the way they taught us. It was so much more about test and theory, and I thought that
test and what?
Like in not much practice, but more like just school and papers and like remembering things and kanjis and all of that. And I wasn't enjoying that. And it seemed to me that if I graduated mechanical engineering in Japan, I was going to end up working at a factory, like assembling factory. That's really what I thought. I wish I'd known better. And that wasn't a bad thing, but I was just like, as a joke, I was like, I can't wear heels to a factory job. And that was a joke into saying I won't be happy going to work every day. It wasn't that I wanted to wear heels all the time. It's just like I wanted to be able to wake up and be happy to go to work. And I didn't think I was going to be able to do that as a mechanical engineer. So at the time, I had met a lot of people from JICA, the Japanese International Cooperation Agency. And I was like, man, I really enjoy this whole international cooperation thing. I have the skills for it because that requires a lot of communication and language skills. And I was passionate about it because it's helping people out. So I was like, I need to transition. I need to find my way into this field. And I did a lot of research. So after my first school, I changed my major and completely went into a new one where you had to have, I had to take 100 credits in 1 year just to keep up with people.
That's a lot
Yes,
for 1 year.
it was. It was a lot. So it was a conscious choice. It wasn't understood by anybody because my parents were like went so super mad. They were like, "Oh, you went all the way to Japan, so you want to study languages and communication?"
Oh,
like,
so you switched to
yes,
language
totally.
and communication.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
more of a business and communication major.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a very weird transition for everybody around me, but
100 credits.
Yes.
I'm still like, wow, that's a lot.
it was a lot. It was full class every day. Yeah, it was a lot.
So you were you working as well?
Yes. So because
wow.
I changed my major, my scholarship was cut off because that wasn't the deal. So yes, basically it was 9 to 5 school, 6 to midnight, one job, 1 to 5 one other job, and then because I did,
Are you serious?
I was doing 2 part-time jobs at the same
Superwoman.
time. No,
Super phenomenal.
that was a very interesting year.
Wow, but you did it, right?
Yeah, and what motivated me was I had somebody tell me that I was too soft to do that, and I was like, I'm gonna prove you wrong.
Wow.
So because I think I was a little bit, I kind of grew up in a bubble. It wasn't the perfect life, but I didn't have to like work too hard for anything. Thanks to good grades, I always had scholarships all the time. So it was like, there's no way you can handle 2 jobs and school. I was like, watch me do it. And
So someone told you that?
yeah, I don't think they meant it like in a wrong way, but I was like, okay, that's probably what people think of me, that I'm not tough or anything. And I didn't want to prove it to them, but I wanted to prove to myself that if I needed to, I knew how to work harder than people would expect to me. So it was a very good, interesting year. Yeah.
Wow, okay. Challenging, but
Yes,
you made
challenging, but it was like, okay, I can do this. I can actually, handle whatever I need to handle. So
Okay.
it was really nice.
it. Oh,
Yeah.
congrats!
Thank you.
That's like a massive achievement.
Yeah. It's
right?
like, yeah.
Okay. So you did that. You conquered that 1 year.
Yeah.
And then you moved on to the non-profit right after graduation?
No,
Or?
so this is like the power of meeting good people in your life. I had a very, very amazing professor in that university. So after my first
What
year,
university was it?
this was a very small university in Gumma. It's
Okay.
called Gumma Prefectural Women's University.
Okay.
Even Gumma people don't know about it.
Okay,
But
well, hey.
I had read about the professor, and that she was the reason why I was like, I want to study with her. I want her to be my mentor, and that was such a good choice. Because into my second year, she was like, why don't you try the entrance exam to University of Tokyo? And I was like, sure. Like, why would I even get into Tokyo? That's like, high level Todai. I couldn't get into it. She's like, no, if you study, you'll get into Todai. I was like, okay. She gave me the books. I studied and I got into Todai. So I did my master in Todai, and that opened so much doors. I was never I don't like when people put certain university above others and then like treat you different just because you're from a certain place. But the honest truth is that it makes a difference in Japan still to this day. So that putting it on paper, just even like when people know that you graduated from that university, I think they're more open to listening to you. I wish it would change a little bit, but the honest truth is that it did help like a lot where my career went in Japan.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it did help a lot.
All right, so another
Yeah.
congrats.
Thank you. I don't know about that.
Congrats in the comment section down below.
Yeah.
So when did you decide to do non-profit, to enter that space?
Non-profit is
Was that before your master's or
no,
after?
non-profit is a childhood dream. I just didn't know how to do it.
Okay.
So in Senegal, we have a lot of kids that are on the streets still for different reasons. It might be because of family situations. Sometimes it's because of religious reasons. So we have this thing where they send them to Quranic school to study the Quran and learn life and everything. But the masters at the schools, they use the kids to go in the street, beg for food and money and everything and all of that. It's a very sad situation. So, but growing up seeing that, I always knew, because I would give my pocket money to these kids, or I would just give alimony all the time. So I knew I wanted to do something that would help out people for sure. I just didn't know how to do it. So I knew I wanted to be in the non-profit sector for sure. But I thought it's hard if you don't have the experience, I think it's really hard to get into non-profit, because it's non-profit, they need to manage their money wise, they need to hire people with experience. So I was like, I'll just work for the for-profit sector first, get the experience, and then I'll convert that into the non-profit. Luckily, during my student year, I did a lot of volunteering for non-profits as well, and I got to know people in it. So when I saw this job ad, I talked to somebody who I didn't know he was the predecessor actually at the same job at the time. I just knew him. I spoke to him, and he was like, why don't you go for an interview? And that's how I got the job at the non-profit. Yeah.
Okay.
My first job was at a what is it called? Consulting company. It's it's a consulting company. So it's still in the same sector of cooperation between countries and people helping people. It was more into the bilateral cooperation sector, and it was not what I it wasn't envisioned at all. So I was in the sales department, and I got to see how the whole what is it called? The whole
the hierarchy or the work culture.
Yes, the work and the contracts and the terms of these that is loans that countries. I got to understand a little bit how these loans between a developing country and a developed country work, and I got frustrated about it. I got really frustrated.
So was it really ethical?
Yes, it was. For me, it was.
It was unethical, right?
No, I think it's not unethical, it's unfair. My wish is that for developing countries to make better deals, not just take anything that's, just because we're giving them money, they go with everything. I think the upper hand is definitely on the lending country side, which kind of makes sense, but I think also they have to see that if they don't give them these contracts, there's a lot of engineers out here who won't have jobs because their jobs are overseas. So they have a leverage. They have some leverage, and I wish the leaders in those countries use that leverage and use it to have better deals for the locals in those countries, because at the end of the day, I was in the infrastructure sector. The building is there, like the airport, the bridges, the roads being built are there, but the people's life might not be as enhanced as a result of the project as it could have been. That was my thought. Then I was like, I'm super young, so maybe I don't understand everything about it, but it was a very frustrating feeling for me. So I was like, I don't want to be in this sector for much longer.
That was a for-profit sector.
Yeah, that was a for-profit sector.
So did you make the transition to non-profit right after this?
Yes, it was. I went from this job to this job. I was looking at as opportunities, but I was like, maybe I should just stick it out, because you don't want to change a job within a year. That was like 8 months into the job. So I did want to do a little bit of like what Japanese people call gaman, just deal with.
How long did you stay there for?
8 months, just 8 months.
Okay, so
yeah, 8 months, and then I got the non-profit job, so I moved.
Okay, so you've been at this present non-profit for how long?
For only 6 months. I've been only working in Japan for like a year and some months, I guess.
Oh, so for
8 years.
Almost for the decade almost.
Yes, I was a student,
Wow.
Yes, that was too long. Too long.
You know what? But you're in it now. How do you feel about this new job?
Oh, this new job, I love it. I absolutely love my job. I love my company. I love that the company founder, he's still alive. He's 84 years old. He comes to work every day.
Oh, wow.
So I love...
He's passionate about what he does.
Oh gosh, he has so much passion. That guy, he's so inspiring to me, because he likes to tell his story, and you get to learn the power of just one person deciding that they want to change things. So, if you go on our website, you can read, I don't know if I can publish this, but basically, basically the story is that he had a very personal reason for doing what he's doing, and he pushed through everything and against everybody to get to where he is at now. So it's very inspiring to just see that one person being able to change so many lives, and I love going to work and seeing him and talking to him. I love my job because I always wanted to do something that had to do with communication and people. I knew I had to combine those two, so I get to do that now, and it's really nice to go to work every day.
Nice.
Of course, it's not perfect, but I'm happy I found this job.
It really takes a special type of person, I believe, to really commit themselves to something like that, right?
I think everybody has it in them, but we're just so conditioned to go for the money first, and then
I think non-profit, what comes to mind maybe is they think it's free. It's like non-profit, you're like, I'm not going non-profit. I don't know about that non-profit business.
It's like, no. And well, the thing, non-profit, well, when you say the word non-profit, it's kind of, I can see why they would think it's free, but it would be a good thing if more people started using maybe the social enterprise term, because I really love that. I love when they say social enterprise. I want to have my own social business one day. I want it to make me money.
All businesses should be
exactly.
all businesses were
That's what I think. All business should be based on equal equal social and financial profits.
Yes.
I think that's totally doable. I hope more people, I think it's getting more recognition nowadays, and as people can understand that you can definitely empower people who need it and still make the money you need to make, that would be a beautiful thing.
No,
I'm waiting for the revolution.
I believe that, and I think we're moving in that direction.
Yes, we are.
Because every business should be socially responsible.
Yes,
Right?
definitely.
And if you can, because usually business extract and they take away.
Yes, they
but
take
if you're
away.
within the same, even if it's within the community where you operate your business, you're doing something in that space.
Yeah,
I think it would be
definitely.
good, because then people would feel more connected to what
Definitely,
you're doing. And
yeah.
invariably, I think people make more money. As a
I think
result
so,
of
yeah, because like changing lives can never go old. You know, a product can like be out of like, I don't know, time, or be out of season or things like that, but something that's going to impact somebody's life, making somebody's life better, can never go out of fashion. I think you might have to change how you do it, and you know, the ways that you promote yourself and all of that, and that's fine. But as long as you're having an impact on people, I think you're never going to run out of customers. Who doesn't want a better life?
So Ouli, tell me, what does this nonprofit do?
Okay, so we're an educational support organization, and we provide scholarships to people whose parents can afford to, or who've lost their parents actually. So that's our target group. That's who we work with. Yeah.
Okay, so you're directly impacting the future.
I mean, this organization has been around for 50 years.
50 years.
And some of the employees are people who were scholars before.
Okay.
That maybe at some point didn't see a future for themselves, didn't see how they could go through school. They got the scholarship, went through school, maybe worked at different places, and then came back to work with us, because they are the very example, the very proof that this has impacted their life in a better way. They say it themselves, like they don't know how they could have gone through school or where they would have been today if it wasn't for this scholarship. So we get to see that in person.
That's a beautiful full circle.
Very, very beautiful full circle.
I think those are, I'm not saying that the other employees are not as passionate,
no,
but I know
they're
that
like,
these guys are hard workers too.
yes,
I think
very
they're
much.
extremely passionate.
Yeah,
because
very
they were
much.
on the receiving end, so they know how important
Yeah,
the work is.
definitely.
That's been done.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me a little bit more about, or tell me about your ambition.
Oh.
What are your ambitions for life in Japan going forward?
For life in Japan going forward, this is a really tough question for me right now, because like with my background, I think my parents didn't expect me to want to be in Japan for this long, or to be in here for this long. So right now I'm right in the middle of trying to let them accept that I might be in Japan for a little longer, and that makes it hard to plan things, because I don't know if I'm going to win that battle or not, to be sure. So moving forward, before I found this company, before I started this job, I was totally ready to leave after 2020. So I was like, I've been here long enough, let's make it around 10 years, and after that we'll explore and go somewhere else. Now that I found this company and I really like the job, it's like I don't really have a reason to leave, and even if I did, I don't want to cut ties with Japan. So long story short, I don't know where I'm headed actually with my life in Japan.
You're so connected, right? So
Yes.
You studied here.
Yes.
You speak the language.
Right. So
all the things that you're doing. Right now is like,
I've literally spent a third of my life in
Right?
Japan, and that's like one of the most important third, because this is adulthood. The 20s are, I think, when you make your not most important connection, but this connection can really shape your future, your ambitions, even my hobbies and all of that have changed so much. I know Japan, Ouli. I just know her better than I know who I was whatever. I was in Senegal, and so now it's really hard for me to actually picture how I could immerse myself in any other society. Yeah, so it's a little challenging.
So what was the university like in Japan?
Oh.
As you said, like you're not sure if you want to do the PhD here. So what was it?
The first one was mechanical engineering, right? It was a college of what is it called? College of Technology. It was called College of Technology. I was the only foreigner, I was the only girl, and I was 2 years older than my classmates. So the first 2 months nobody talked to me. It was just me every day, like sitting at my desk trying to figure out, because I had learned Japanese, so I thought I was going to be okay. And then I went to Kansai and it was a completely different vocabulary, completely different intonation, and the professors, when they write on the board, they're not trying to write slow, so I couldn't even read what was on the blackboard. I was just lost. I was just like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? That first month, I think I cried almost every single day, just out of not knowing what was going on. Then I got settled and it was okay, but I can't really say, I'm a very social person, I think. I can't really say I met friends with my classmates. Like, honestly, we have a group, of course, but we don't keep in touch.
So doing your bachelor's degree, you never made any friends?
That was a associate degree, which I didn't even know of. So I didn't even know that there was such thing as an associate degree. After 4 years, I'm graduating. I thought I had a bachelor, and it was like, no, hold on, you don't even have a bachelor.
Oh, wow. So wait, so you have to get a bachelor's
yes,
after that?
Yeah. That's why I was, that's why I studied for 8 years. Yeah.
Wow.
And that was very frustrating. That was very, very frustrating.
It's the same time commitment, right? Time investment.
And I had this moment where I was comparing my journey to those of my former classmates from high school who had gone on to France, 5 years, got the master's, started working. Some of them even went back home and got married and all of that. So they seem to do it all right. In the meantime, I'm here trying to get 100 credits in a year, doing 2 part-time jobs and not even a bachelor. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like I don't know, I don't want to use the word depressed too lightly, but I was very like, I don't want to talk to people. I just want to get through this degree for now. That was a very emotionally challenging year. Was like, I don't know, at some point I was like, I cannot compare, because at the end of the day I've had different experiences. Oh gosh, I speak Japanese, which is like so valuable if you're gonna be in Japan. So there's a reason why I had to go through this. I had to go through it this way, and I made peace with it. But at first I was like, I don't get it. Why am I still, behind? Yeah.
So was doing your bachelor's or master's a different process? Did it feel different for you in terms of connecting with people, the environment,
the college degree wasn't the college of technology. I had one good friend that I was like, I had a group of international students that we did things together. We had our small community. That was okay, and I had a really good friend from there. Bachelor was nice, actually. Bachelor degree was nice. It was a women's university, but it was my major was international business, international cooperation. So that puts me in an environment where they're all interested in speaking English, and the classes are about what's happening around the world, what issues. Granted, because I was, I guess, older, and also I already had like 4 years of schooling compared to them, the classes were not very challenging, I would say, but the professors knew that, so they would give me different material, which is really good. So bachelor was really nice. Bachelor was really, really nice. I really enjoyed it, especially with the professor. Master was okay, but everybody was so busy, we barely saw each other. And it was at Todai. Everybody is like super serious at Todai. I think I was the least I think I was the least serious person ever in that major in that department, but it was also very nice in terms of opportunities. So like I went to seminars and like conferences and all of that, and that made it really, really fun. Yeah.
Okay. So what is there a lesson that came out of all this? Like, is there a lesson that you could say, this is what I've learned?
Yes.
Going through all I've went through to this point.
Yeah.
Is there a lesson that came out of that you want to share with people?
I think I've recently made the realization that I was meant to talk to people. So because I met so many changes, but all of them led me towards finding something that would allow me to either write or talk or just have a way to connect with people. So I think that's what came out. It took me long enough, but now I'm like, I gotta do something that every day I got to talk to somebody and just help them in some way. It doesn't matter what I'm helping them with. It could be serving them food. I would still be happy that I've done something for somebody. So I think that was
like a servant's
yes,
heart.
yeah. All my part-time jobs in Japan, it's been in customer service. I've done a lot of them, but it's always been in customer service. So I've done apparel, and then I've done restaurant, like waitress kind of jobs, yeah. But I always go through something that will have me say, oh, hey, hi, do you need something? How can I help you? And all of that. And I want to do that even at a higher level. So even if in my career moving forward, I want to do something that's gonna be like, oh, can I help you? And then we'll find out how I can help you. Yeah.
So that
most
might
of-
be, that might be the pivot,
yeah.
right? Or maybe
Yeah.
something else on the side.
Something
Who
else,
knows,
well.
right? So
Yeah.
it's for you to, to decide.
To that, yeah.
Right?
But I
you
think
do have that people thing
Yeah.
about you, that personality.
I really
that
love
vibe.
people, even though sometimes they just like,
Yeah. People
Yeah.
are,
yeah. But yeah, I think
Complex.
that's been my biggest lesson, and also the fact that there's so much to the world that I don't know. If you're in Japan and you're watching this, you already know this. You already know that there's so much to the world that wherever you grew up.
Yes.
But I can honestly cannot picture who I would have been if I didn't leave France or Senegal, because I would have been in just my comfort zone. So many Senegalese in France, and I wouldn't have done half of the things that I did out here in terms of the people I've met. That's my favorite thing about Japan. You meet so many different people from so many different backgrounds. It's just amazing. Like, you can learn a new story every day. It's amazing. I love that. And without that, I wouldn't have had the ideas and the passion and just the experience of knowing that we might come from different, we've walked different path in life, but we still can connect on something, and that's such a valuable thing to me that I don't know who I would be if I hadn't come to Japan, actually, and I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I'm happy to have made this choice.
So, okay, so what would you say is your least favorite thing about Japan?
My least favorite thing is how far it is from home. Yes, and that's not because I want to go home so often, but that would make it easier for my parents to accept that I'm in Japan. I think that's the one thing that I'm like, oh, I wish it would, but I cannot change that. My least favorite thing that I think we could change is how difficult socializing can be in Japan. It's like how you have to make an actual conscious effort to socialize, and it's not something that everybody is good at, so it makes it tricks people into becoming not hikikomori, yes, introverted. I think even people who normally wouldn't be, they feel obligated to become introverted because they don't see how they can just approach anybody in Japan. So I don't like that part at all. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So because I want to see if I can get this.
Yes.
What's the best life advice you've received overall? Because going through even that 1 year that you spoke about,
Yeah.
you did so much.
Yeah.
What kept you going? Is there a maxim that you live by, or do you have this advice from maybe a parent or something that drives you?
Drives me.
thing?
I don't know. I don't know if I've heard it from somebody or it's just something that I believe in. But I really, really believe in doing good. Like, I feel, because even in my heart, I like in being a good person, and it's not a skill or something that you can sell, I think, but just going through your everyday life, trying to not hurt anybody, making a conscious effort to just be nice, smile, have a kind word to somebody or things like that. Even when I was like when I'm super broke or super depressed and I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, everything is going wrong in my life right now, something in me tells me, but you're a good person, so it's gonna be okay. I don't know, I have that thing in my mind. I don't know why, but I'm always like, it's okay, it's really hard right now, but you're a good person. Like, you wouldn't go and hurt somebody on purpose, so it's gonna be okay. It means that something good is gonna happen to you eventually.
It'll work out
yeah,
eventually,
so
right?
that always keeps me going. I don't know, for some reason. I wanna say that my mom told me that, but I'm not so sure.
Okay, I understand,
Yeah.
but it's there, right? It's that thing.
But I think it's definitely from her, because I've seen her most likely being I've seen people take advantage of her, and she keeps going, and I couldn't understand it.
Wow.
I would be like, why don't you cut this person off? And she would be just like, it's okay, they're doing it to themselves more than they're doing it to me. So I think, and I used to be like, I never want to be like this, and then turns out I think I'm exactly like that. Yeah, so I think that keeps me going. Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad thing. If there was one thing in the world
Yes.
that you could change,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
What would it be?
The money allocation, like,
Okay.
yeah, I just
Like the
don't.
distribution of wealth?
The distribution of wealth, yeah, in better words. I do not understand why some people get to have billions that they could never use, no matter how long they live, and then there are some people who can't even afford like a meal a day. And I don't want to take away from their luxury, no, but they have leftovers. I just want the leftovers to be redistributed. I know it's very utopic, I know.
I
but
think some people would say, well, capitalism is extremely important.
I know.
And then
but we're
so
talking
that's
like
more of a socialist mindset.
I know,
potentially.
yeah.
But you change that.
That's the only thing that I think that would, yeah, that's really the one thing that I would want to change. Yeah, I know it's not gonna happen, but that's the one thing that really bothers me every day, because I think a lot of issues would be solved if we just like pushed a little bit more.
If we were more generous,
yeah.
Right? What's a common misconception about life in Japan?
You mean who? But who is having the
So like
misconception?
people outside.
Outside.
Generally, yeah.
Oh, they probably think it's all cute stuff, and they have a point about the orderly and cleanliness of the country, but then I think because of that they think everything else is that ordered. Like just because they clean up behind them when they go overseas and things like that, everything else must be perfect to a T in Japan. So no problems, no issues, no nothing to worry about, no stress and all of that. And I'm like, it couldn't be further from the truth. But I think they really have this idea of it's a perfect life. It's a perfectly well-ordered
like
life.
utopia.
Yes, like a utopia. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wish. Yeah, I think that's the biggest misconception. Yeah.
Is there something in Japan that you think deserves more media coverage, like something that doesn't get enough spotlight?
The good or the bad?
Both.
Both. The bad, I would say, I think it gets enough coverage though, like the work lifestyle. I wish the international community put more pressure on Japanese companies maybe to have a more relaxed lifestyle, but that's gonna take a long time. I just wish they could show them that it's okay, it's possible to have a very relaxed, schedule, sort of that, and still get the job done. I think it's getting there. Like a lot of companies are trying to do flex time and allowing more days off and all of that, but it's taking forever. And in the meantime, it's taking a toll on people's health. So that's something that I think really would need to need more coverage, I guess. And on the bad side, I think people are not aware of how lonely all the Japanese people are.
The older ones?
Yes, like all Japanese people. It's really, really, really sad. It breaks my heart just because at home you have your grandmother and she's surrounded, she's with everybody and everything. And here, like all these older people you see in the train stations and running errands and stuff like that, at the end of the day, they go home to themselves. And it's to me, it's a really heartbreaking thing. I think there's a way that we can connect the young community traveling to Japan and the older Japanese people living by themselves and all of that. I think it's really dangerous thing to let them to be to themselves the whole time, and it's gonna lead to just more mental health issues and more deaths. Like they have this word in Japanese, it's like death when they die by themselves alone. I can't remember the word and everything, but I don't, even in Japanese TV, I don't see it enough. I don't see the young people worrying about it. Like you have all these old people in their own home, they're gonna die by themselves, they don't know what to do with their legacies and all of that. So I think the not international community, Japanese community need to maybe try to figure that out before it gets too bad. Yeah.
What about the good side?
The good side.
Or what's something that Japan does really well that the world can learn from?
Security, safety. Safety. So Japan is the only country I would ever even dream of going out at night by myself and have no worries whatsoever. So I like to have I like to go to Roppongi and I do it on my own, like all the time. I never have to look like over my shoulder. I never have to worry about something being stolen from me. There might be altercations here and there, but it's really so safe. It's even too safe because then you let your guard down. So when you travel internationally, it's like, oh, you have to pick up all the senses and come back to being alert. So I think the way Japan is safe is something that everybody could learn from.
And it's funny that's good because I was reminded of this yesterday.
Yeah.
Because when you lose something,
yes,
you have a peace.
Yes.
You're relaxed, 'cause,
Yes.
like I usually don't do this because I was trying to charge something on the train as I was telling you, and I left it in the outlet.
Oh.
And then when I realized this morning, I'm like, oh snap! I left that on the train.
Yeah.
And when I went to the station, they told me I explained what happened.
Yeah.
And they called and they found out where it was.
Yeah.
So it's actually waiting for me now at another station for me to go pick it up. So you're relaxed.
Yeah.
You're like, oh snap! My phone is gone. Or this is gone.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, it's Japan.
I'm gonna get it
back.
Yeah.
Because just the rate of receiving back or return of lost items is really, really high. I think it's like up in the 85 percentile. Up
Yeah.
It's really, really high. Like money, food,
I wouldn't even
whatever.
bother outside of Japan. This is like, well, that was, you know, everything happens for a reason. I was like, forget about it.
I'm like, let me just buy
Yeah.
another one from now.
That's really.
Let's just go to the store.
Yeah.
Right?
And I also like how orderly they are, because when you're in good big crowds and all of that, it's really helpful that everybody is just calm, composed, waiting for their turn to happen.
Yeah.
You're gonna get where you need to get anyway. So I
Even if the
really
line is
love that.
long from
Right.
here down the street.
They're still gonna get in line.
Right.
That's very admirable. Yeah.
Some other countries, there's no line.
What's a line?
What's
a line? What's a
line?
line? And why would you even line up for? They would think
Right.
you're insane for wanting to line up. Like, what
Right.
would you do that for?
Man.
Yeah.
But that's something that's, I guess some of us, we like it. I think all things considered, I like it.
Yes, all things
Right.
considered, I like it. And I'm a big fan of Japanese customer service. That's my ideal customer service. Like,
Yes.
one day, I think I want to open like a restaurant or something back home, and I want to do the customer service Japanese
Just like,
style.
Yes.
My brother is like, that's not gonna happen because you're not gonna train anybody who's gonna do that. I'm like, well, then I'll run it myself.
People might take advantage, but it can be
Yes,
done.
that's true.
There's a way
But
to do
I
it.
also believe in the power of the clerk, like the person who is working. I don't subscribe to this idea of the customer is king if the customer is being rude, because this is still a human being
Yes.
at your service. So I think I don't like when people are rude to waitress and all of that. So
you were one as well, so you're
yes,
you see
yes, I see both sides. And you know, like I had it all. I had the extra nice because you're a foreigner, or just the person that treats you normal, which is my favorite. Like, they don't see the difference. You're a waitress, you're a waitress, that's it. And then you have the extra rude because you're a foreigner and they don't want to take order from you.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, I'm making your food inside anyway, so like there's all of that. But at the end of the day, the best, like, I just want to, people do get, some of us do get these jobs because we do want to serve you, not just because we need the job. And if you're being rude or something to that, if I was a restaurant owner, hopefully I will have a restaurant so nice and so gorgeous and so delicious that I can afford to be like, we don't allow you as a customer because you're being rude. So if you're too rude, go get your food somewhere else. Yeah,
No
I think that should be a thing. Yeah. That should be a thing, definitely.
You were like, you gotta go.
Yeah.
So, you gotta go. I was gonna ask you about that.
Yeah.
You know, like working, you know, as a waitress in Japan as a foreigner.
Yeah.
So you just detail the experience, right? So
Yeah.
good ones, bad ones, normal ones.
Normal ones, yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. For the most part, it was nice. It was really nice.
Did you learn anything that you think you wouldn't have learned if you hadn't had that job?
It was very easy for me to start working for a Japanese company because I already know how it works. I already know what kind of papers you needed, the hierarchy, and the vocabulary, definitely. Because it's one thing to learn Japanese in a book, and it's another thing to get customer orders and people. You don't know what the customer is gonna say. So you definitely have to be alert and learn new words every day. When I worked, for example, in the fashion industry in Japan, fashion changes all the time with the season, and the vocabulary changes and the keywords and all of that.
Yeah.
So I think my Japanese definitely, like my speaking Japanese is super good. Like they sometimes on the phone, they don't know I'm a foreigner speaking.
Okay,
and that's definitely because I worked as a Japanese customer service person, because it just gets natural. I mean, in the beginning you make the effort of remembering it, and at some point it's just like natural to you. So that definitely helped a lot with going to interviews and all of that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So any advice for people who want to learn Japanese?
Yeah.
They're having a hard time maybe, or they're intimidated by the process, or they've hit a wall in the learning process.
Okay.
They're like, how can I move from where I'm at to get to a level of fluency?
Yeah. So as you can tell, I'm very talkative, and I think I think that's the best way to learn a language, to just speak it. And I actually learned English in Japan as well while I was learning.
Really?
Yeah. Because
so when you came here, you only spoke French?
I wouldn't even say, like, I have, my friends will testify to this. You couldn't get me to say my name is in English. I hated it. Like, I felt like I would not even say that much. Yeah. So I came here with, like, I was super, I was a French snob. So like good French and all of that, and it became completely useless in Japan because I had like 2 friends who spoke French. Everybody else is either English or Japanese. My first friends that I met in Japan, they were from Kenya and Uganda. They came to my door, knocked on the door. I opened the door. I still can't tell you what they said. because they spoke English.
Wow.
I still don't remember whatever they said that, and I just looked at them blank, and I was like, I have no idea. I was like, I don't get it. And they were like, oh, so you don't speak English? I'm like, we did it in school. I just hated it. I just really hated it. So I didn't make the effort. And then from then I was learning both at the same time. And it was all through just speaking with people and making so many mistakes. Oh my gosh. I looked at my 2010 text messages that I was sending my friends. And I made a Facebook post. It was like, whoever spoke with me in 2010, thank you. Thank you, and I commend you, because I don't know what I was trying to say.
Wow.
Literally, that's how bad my grammar was in English.
And I think that's important.
Yeah.
The mistake aspect. I think
Yeah.
it put us a lot of adults.
Oh yeah, that's
because
literally.
you don't want to look like stupid, or like, oh, I don't want to look like I don't know.
As
what I'm
long
saying.
as you get my point, I'm comfortable making
Yeah.
mistakes.
Yeah.
So
That's a good
even
thing to have.
us learning Japanese together, because we were all foreigners learning Japanese together, we spoke in broken Japanese, but we understood each other, which is really funny because it didn't make sense maybe grammatically, but we still know what the other one was trying to say. And next thing you know, honestly, like we started learning Japanese in April. In December, 6 months later, most of us got N2.
Oh wow.
Yes,
Okay,
like
okay.
literally.
Wow.
Yes, so.
Even the kanji, y'all got that.
And like we got it. So of course it was that the school helped a lot, but I would say most of us, like I have an Indian friend who's really good, Ethiopian and all of that, it was because we had fun in it and we spoke to each other even with the mistakes. So I honestly wish, and this goes for both Japanese people trying to learn English and non-Japanese person trying to learn Japanese, that people would just speak. Just get it out. Just get it out. Whatever you're trying to communicate, if you have the opportunity, communicate it in Japanese. You're gonna cut your own mistakes. You're gonna catch your own mistakes. People are gonna catch your mistakes, and it's gonna get better. That's the easiest way I can see. The other way is reading. I cannot say it enough. Like, there is something about learning through books that nothing else can replace. Not a textbook, just something that you're passionate about. Read about it in Japanese.
Oh, I see. So like mangas,
yes,
maybe,
you don't have
novels
those
and-
novels. I don't like mangas at all.
Okay.
So I read like novels. I try to read novels, and if I don't like it, I'll quit and find something else that I like. But I find that I'm able to retain vocabulary better through books that I'm interested in and topics that I'm interested in, rather than just forcing myself through a textbook and all of that. So
Okay, nice.
that would be my biggest advice. Yeah,
Some
speak a
good
lot.
advice.
Yeah, it helps.
It's like
Speak.
how babies learn.
Yes,
It's like my
exactly.
daughter, like, she just listened
Yeah,
to us and
exactly.
she just learned English
Learn
by
and-
listening and repeating
Yeah,
and making mistakes until she got it.
yeah, that's definitely it. Yeah.
Okay, so what's your favorite Japanese food? I know you're a vegetarian as
Yeah.
well, so what do you eat in Japan?
This even makes even Japanese people laugh, but my favorite food is miso soup, basically.
Yeah?
Miso soup, yeah.
Okay,
I love a good miso soup in winter. Yeah, but I turned vegetarian in Japan a few years back, I guess. So yeah, like eating out can be challenging. It's getting better though. I think lately there's a lot of options for vegan and vegetarians in Japan, but it can still be very challenging. I just tweak the menu. I just modify the menu, or I order like side dishes and I put them together and make a dish out of it usually. So usually they have edamame, a salad with tofu and like tomatoes and all of that. Rice. As long as I have some rice and some miso soup and a side dish, I'm so Japanese. I'm happy. Yeah. And French fries, I guess.
Oh, French fries.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a fun question.
Okay.
I like asking this question.
Okay.
What's your earliest memory? The first thing you can remember when you go all the way back. Your earliest memory.
My earliest memory? Oh, wow.
Yeah, way back when you were like a little girl,
So-
all the way back.
Far back. I don't know if oh gosh. I don't know why this is my first memory, but we used to spend summer vacations. So summer vacations are really long back home, like 3 months long, and we used to spend them all at my grandma's village, like city. So it's like old town. We had like a hut kind of room, and there was a lot of us. Like all the cousins would come in the house and would spend we'd spend days together and like play in the rain, run naked in the rain, all of that. And my grandma would make grilled peanuts and grilled corn, and would sit by her and she would tell us stories. So that's one of the first things that I always remember when I think about my childhood back home. So just sitting by her side and eating peanuts and corn.
sounds fun.
Yeah,
Sounds
it
like
was
a lot of fun.
it was a good time. It was a very good time.
Back in Senegal, right?
Yes, back in Senegal, yeah.
What about your
So-
hair? How do you do hair? Like,
So
Use
I
your
recently, no, I started it myself. I'm going to lock my hair. I'm locking my hair, so I decided to go locks, and I started with twist myself. Before that, Japan tends to damage hair for like most black women's hair actually in Japan. We kind of all go through it. I don't know, unless you've been warned, the water, I think, I don't know, it's too hard on our hair or something, so you go through breakage and all of that. So when that happened, I took scissors, went natural, stopped relaxing, all of that. So I was natural for like 4 years, I guess. Had an afro and all of that. It was nice, but it's time consuming, and I always wanted locks. So I just recently decided to do that. Before that, I had braids. I've been braided by a Japanese hairstylist. I've been braided by a Nigerian hairstylist. They're all really good, and I'm very willing to. It's expensive in Japan. It is expensive, honestly. Like, oh my gosh, you don't want to convert that price into whatever currency you're coming from. Just don't do that. That's a very bad idea, because that will like be depressing. But I'm also very willing to pay people for their art. So I'm the one who's like, instead of struggling for 2 hours to do my own hair with an end result that I'm not gonna like, I would rather go like add extra hours to my part-time job, right? Or do something else that they pay me to do what I'm good at, and I pay someone else to do what they're good at. So I was always like that. I did spend a few extra yen to get my hair done, and I was happy with it when I did it. So it does get expensive though. Yeah.
Well, at least, you
get
it done, right?
But it's important. Hair is important. So
Right.
Yeah.
Is there somewhere in Japan that you'd say is your favorite place? Somewhere that you would recommend someone that's coming here, like you're saying to them, look, you gotta go here.
Well, it depends on if they have time to travel. If they have time to travel, go to Kobe. Kobe City is absolutely amazing. I don't know, there is something about the city that's both calming, relaxing, there is energy. It's not as rushed as Tokyo, but there is still a good sense of Japan, and you can like travel a little bit to Kyoto and all of that. So Kobe is number one for sure. But if you're traveling only to Tokyo and you don't have any other spot to see, I don't know, if you don't want to do the touristy things and want to still have a good sense of Tokyo without being rushed or anything, Yokohama is it for me. I love Yokohama. I think it's a very, it has a very romantic side to it, which I love, but also it has a good mix of high level architecture, but also green. I love the green, so you can see a lot of parks and all of that around. So Yokohama is definitely a favorite. Yeah,
so
I like Yokohama.
Since you said the romantic thing, we're gonna segue a little bit into that question. You know what question is coming?
Okay.
What is dating like in Japan?
It's a nightmare.
Oh my God.
It is a nightmare.
What would you say?
I mean, I guess a fun nightmare, but it's still like, I don't know, maybe that's the only thing. The problem is I only know about dating in Japan.
Oh, I see.
So I don't know if it's different or similar. Yeah, I don't have anything else to compare.
What's the experience like? What about it is nightmarish?
There's the part where people don't come in Japan to stay.
Okay, I see.
I mean, I don't know how I ended up doing 10 years here, but usually people are like, I'm going to do 2-3 years and leave. And so when you meet them and that they have that in mind, it's kind of hard to just, kind of try to see a future with that person, because they're not here for that long anyway, or you don't know where else you're going, because you're meeting people who came from completely different places. If they want to go back to their place and you want to go back to your place, how is that going to work out and all of that? But also there's just a sense of, I don't know, I'm just going to say it blunt, being a black woman in Japan. People don't travel to Japan to date black women, right? So I don't know, I'm not saying they're traveling to date, but I think we're too small of a percentage in the population to be on the forefront of everything. So meeting people is hard, meeting the right people is hard, and if you're just looking for fun, it's a great place for that. But for serious relationship, it can be very.
So what about Japanese? You don't date Japanese people?
No, it's like, yeah. But, not that it's a conscious choice, but I've never really felt like, that connection, that, that connection is so strong that you want to date the person. I've only felt it once with one Japanese person, and it wasn't even like I was trying to. That was genuinely a friendship that developed into maybe feelings, and then it didn't even happen actually. So that was, but then after that, I've never really looked at a Japanese person and thought, maybe I want to date this person, and I will think they're cute or handsome or whatever, but I don't know, maybe it's the conversation isn't happening, or we don't have similar they don't have interest in me, because that's the thing too. I'm not asked out by Japanese people a lot either. So it's not like then I think they're not checking for me, and I'm not checking for them, to put it in blunt words. Yeah.
So it's more like foreigners, right? And then that's complex because they might leave 1 year, 2 years are gone.
Actually, my biggest issue was that I was raised Muslim.
Okay.
Yes. So when I first came to Japan, this is 10 years ago, I again totally fresh off Senegal, I wasn't even open to dating non-Senegalese people.
Okay.
Yeah, so it has to be a Senegalese, that's it, like that's the only option, and like a Senegalese Muslim, because we also have Christians as well. And then life happened, I grew up, 2 years later maybe I was open to non-Senegalese, but they had to be Muslim. And then life happened again. Life happened, it was like, okay, so maybe, okay, they don't have to be Muslim as long as they're a good person. I think that was always what I believed in deep down, but also like you don't erase 20 years of education, and I was raised to be like, this is the kind of person that you're supposed to be with, stick with it, and if you bring something that's different, it's gonna be like, it's gonna, problematic, definitely. So I had a very small pool to choose from. It expanded. Now I think it's shrinking again. But just for me, like I really used to be jealous of some of my friends, because for them, when they meet somebody, all they have to think about is, do you like them?
Okay.
And then they can decide whether or not to date that person. Oh gosh, it's like a total journey in my head when I meet somebody. It's like, okay, I used to be like, okay, are they Muslim? No, then forget about it. But then you like them. Oh, but yeah, maybe it won't lead into marriage, but you know, they are a good person, so you can have a good experience with them. And maybe they will want to convert, and I've never wanted anybody to convert to be with me. I just think that's totally unfair. It depends on people, but I don't think I want that kind of responsibility. And so then it was like, but your parents, even if you convert, like your parents will never allow that, so why would you even bother? And I was like, it's not fair, it's my life, it's not my parents' life.
All this internal dialogue going on.
So by the time I even decide whether I like the person or not, they're gone. So yeah, it's been very, very complicated in an interesting way, but it's really complicated and exhausting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any advice for black people looking to come to Japan, whether black woman, black man? Any advice for them, whether it's to study or anything, like any advice? Or impart? You've been here for almost a decade, pretty much. Let's just say a decade.
A decade,
Right?
yeah,
What
a
have you
decade.
learned that you can impart to them that you think would make their transition a lot easier and smoother?
Find community, find your tribe. Yeah, because that will make a big, big difference. Having people who, and I'm not saying don't make friends outside of the black community, but I think having people who look like you, who understand, you don't have to explain the struggles and all of that, it will make some days much, much better in Japan, because some things will happen and nobody but another black person will be able to understand that. So you want to have those person that you can just maybe vent it out and, you know, go on with your day. I would say also, like, just be aware that you might be the center of attention sometimes. It will happen for good or bad reasons, but it's a good thing to think that it's outside of your control. It has nothing to do with you, because people only pay attention to you because they have never seen you before, and you have no control over that. So be willing and be prepared to be the center of attention. Turn it into a positive if you can. I don't know how, but like, smile. I don't know. I don't like taking pictures with strangers. Some people do, but it depends. But just be aware that you might do that, and also just enjoy it, I guess. Just enjoy the country if you're here.
So what do you think is the general attitude towards black people here?
Right now, so 10 years ago, people would run away from me. I've had that. I've had people like run away, and then people come and do this and be like, what do you eat that makes your skin dark? And I'm like, what do you mean? So, but now I think it's getting much better. I think, well, with the exposure of all these mixed biracial kids, it's definitely getting better. Those who've like seen something on TV and decided that this is what it is, they were gonna come at you with that approach, and if that's different from what you know, it's gonna be very frustrating and hard to change their mind, because they've already like, oh, I know. They're like, they think just because they've seen it on TV, they know what it is. Those who, there are some who don't know at all and are very curious. They're very nice to talk to. It's hard to be seen as an ambassador of an entire culture, but You have to be. Like, you don't have a choice not to be, because there's not a lot of us in Japan.
Yeah.
So you have to be in some kind of ways. Yeah,
It's a lot of responsibility.
it's a lot of
It's a heavy
responsibility.
burden to
Yeah.
carry, right?
So, but I think each of us in our own ways, we are. We don't have to. You don't have to show what this. How do I put this? Our unique, this unicity, is that it? No,
Uniqueness.
uniqueness. Yes, our uniqueness, our perfect, are exactly what we should show them, because we want them to know that all black people are not the same. So, if there are things that you're supposed to like as a black person but you don't, it's okay to tell that Japanese person, even though they're gonna be surprised. It's a good thing that they can see that, oh, okay, black people are supposed to be like this, but this one person is different, so that means there's different kind of black people. So that's important. Yeah, that's
Where can people?
Yeah, no, that's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where can people find you online? If people want to reach out to you, like, where should they go?
Okay, so just my normal, I guess, Instagram account. Should I spell it out?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. OULICHAN, and it's open.
So guys, there you have it. This was Ouli. I know it was a long episode. Look, all these episodes are really, really long. I can't help it.
I don't know.
I hope you guys like it. For those of you guys who like the long ones, good
Yeah.
stuff. If not, I'm sorry, but I want to get you guys a full story, not just a piece of the story. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to share your story or have us visit your region, send us a message on any of our social media platforms or via our website.
That's good.